Hey everyone, we are back with this advanced SEO video for Nuxt. So if you are stumbling upon this and you don't know what's going on in this video, watch the one before it. That was my normal SEO for Nuxt. This one is going to get a little more advanced. So let's go ahead and set up some stuff to understand what's actually going on in our Nuxt app here. Okay, so the first thing that a Nuxt app would have, right, would be a directory of pages, right? And this, of course, did not put this at the root, which is exactly what I would have wanted it to do. Let's see if it can move. Pages, there we go. Okay, pages. So we would have, maybe an index page. And I'm going to just make a couple to kind of show you the idea of how our basic versus our advanced SEO is actually different. So index is there, and we could say, about us.view, and I don't know, we'll say mission.view. That's our mission statement for our SaaS product here. So all of these need to be about the same kind of deal. We'll put a template here. I'm going to do a little script setup. Lang is going to be TypeScript. Again, if we're not going to worry about the actual mechanics of this View app for now, that is not what I want to do. But if you're curious about any of this, leave a comment and I will explain what I have going on. So index, we're going to call this, hi, this is the index. Cool. This is our great mission statement. Very cool. And this is Grantly web page. It's really, really good. Okay. So that's pretty nice. We have all that running. Last thing we need to do over here with our Nuxt app to actually support this is go to our app, right? And we don't want the Nuxt welcome stuff anymore. That's not going to be helpful. We're just going to go to Nuxt page. That's going to put whatever page in we have going on. And we should be good to go. So as promised here, if we go, we have high index. That's really nice. And we said maybe we made an about page. Yep, this is Grantly's page. And then we have a mission statement. That's pretty cool. So we have all this going. And if we go back, right, we set up our sitemap in the last, have run into this interesting little thing where we don't see the pages, right? We want all these pages to be here. And I can tell you with pretty high certainty, this is probably just that we need to actually rebuild the sitemap, and that happens on build, which happens when we restart our dev server here. So let's restart our dev server. We're going to let it rebuild everything. Again, this is maybe relevant in the case also that you have this deployed with like Netlify or something like that. You're not going to see these changes until you actually rebuild. So that's important. And again, that's going to be important when we get to these advanced concepts. Okay, so we're back here, right, with our web app, and let's go to sitemap now. Sure enough, okay, we rebuilt it, right? So now we have about, mission, and our index. That's good, right? We hard-coded those. So now we have all of these hard-coded URLs in here. That's perfect. However, Nuxt supports something, right? And you might be familiar with this if you've used Nuxt before. It supports variables here. So we could put in a directory, right, where we say, okay, this is going to be, blog. Blog's a variable. And then inside of here, we're going to do index.view. And then we can just go ahead and put one of these in. So you can see what's going on. And basically what this would do is no matter what blog value we put in, and you know what, I'm going to actually slightly redefine this. We'll leave it for now. That's fine. If we go back here, and now you could see we could put in any value for this, say Grantly, and it's going to load up. Moreover, we could even just set up a quick little instance of the router here, of the route. So const route equals use route. It's going to maybe yell at me, but that's okay. We're going to deal with that little red line later. I don't want to slow us down too much right now, but you could see here a world in which we could get that variable out of the route, use it right here. So route params blog like that. pretty cool. Again, this is formatted terribly. I'm going to deal with that in another video. I don't want to deal with that right now. But we go here and see there, Grantley, or I could say goat, right? So we could have this param, and what those who are familiar with Vue will know is basically, and Nuxt broadly, that you could use this to dynamically render all sorts of different stuff. Imagine blog posts. And again, we could never, if we have thousands of blog posts, write every one of these out by hand, index, like goat.view. That wouldn't make any sense because we want our users to make that. So what we have to do is actually create a little system to render out our sitemap with that dynamically. So check this out. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to go into the server here because we want this to be a server-side API endpoint that we can hit. And I'm going to go ahead and create a little directory in here that we're going to call this, I think we'll call it API. That would be the convention. And in here, let's just do urls.typescript. That should be fine. So in here, what we're going to do is actually define, we're going to write a little bit of logic to handle the creation of these, of the sitemap based on dynamic data that could be stored, in a database or somewhere. In my case, I like to work with Supabase a lot. So I actually will show an instance of maybe using Supabase or something like that here. So let's get into this and what this would look like. So the first thing that we want to use is that that sitemap module that we used has this bit of, it's just like a wrapper around the standard Nuxt event handler here, which is the define sitemap event handler. It just keeps your types right, and I love TypeScript here. So that's really good. That's going to allow us to handle some events. So we can actually, in a second, we're going to jump right over here to our Nuxt config, and we're going to actually tell it to go and hit that endpoint. So we're going to do that by just saying sitemap, and then here we go, and source, and we're going to define our sources, which in our case here, right, we just said, where was it? It was going to be at API URLs, and that should do it. Let's see why this is mad. Ooh, sources. See, this is why TypeScript is great. And what's going on here? Why is this not happy? Sitemap. Oh, gotta put a comma. Okay, so we should be pretty much good to go there. What that's basically saying, so you can understand, is, hey, when we're going to build our sitemap, go ahead, go to that that URL's API endpoint that we have, and just kind of like run whatever's in there, and then like we'll use that, and we'll build your sitemap for you. So we're gonna need to go in here now and write some logic, right? So we could imagine, like I said, that we have some posts, right? So we could do posts, and then we could await promises all, and now we could put some dummy post data in here just like this, and we'll actually bring this back. Now, for the record, what I'm doing here, so that you're not confused on why I have dummy post data or anything like that, I'm not going to actually, we haven't created a database, or we haven't created a Supabase instance yet. So I'm just kind of mocking a situation by which you might have a promise. And, again, it could be a, fetching of some kind of post data here. But we have posts, right? And so now what we want to do is actually make sure that we get that converted over so that the endpoint serves it. So we can just return, and we can just take these posts, and we're going to map them out, and do post and map them. And we need the location, which can just be the post path, and the last modified date. I'm just going to do new date here. What is it? New date. I think that'll do just today's date. So like I said, what this is doing here, right, is we have we got these posts from whatever it may be, some kind of Supabase or some kind of asynchronous thing where we had to get them, and then we can map them into this format that our sitemap is going to expect. So the kind of the actual place where is this going to be, and a last modified date can be good. In this case, I'm saying new date, like our date right now, because this is tricky, right? This is going to rebuild anytime you rebuild your server. So it will, in this case, put the date of right now as you're building it, which would, in my mind, be accurate. But, again, you could, let's say you store that date somewhere in your database, you have a created date or something. We're going to talk more about Supabase in a second, and other database options, Firebase, stuff like that. You could use whatever other date you wanted. So it doesn't really matter. But for now, all we need to remember is that basically, clear some of this out. We have our Nuxt config. It's saying, hey, let's hit this endpoint. There's that endpoint. It's going to then, on build, go to some kind of amazing place that we can get data, some kind of asynchronous data that we need to wait for, and it's going to take all that and it's going to create it into a beautiful dynamic sitemap for us so that we don't have to do all that manually. So again, what we need to do is restart our dev server here, because that, like I said, is going to build out the new sitemap for us. And now we can go to our sitemap, and there you go. You can see blog post A, B, and C. Again, you can imagine this becomes very, very powerful when you have hundreds, thousands, millions of users creating data, and you want all of that differentiated into lots of different cool routes that Google Search Console can give you a super good SEO for. So I will see you in our next video, where I actually want to jump a little more into Supabase, because like I said, we can continue with this and imagine a world and actually start building out a site where we would have some real dynamic data to use to populate into this XML sitemap. I will see you in that video shortly.